All right, so welcome back to the second half, or I should say to the second part. I know the first part went on a little, I think it went on a little too long. I think 1 hour, I think it was 1 hour long. So I'm going to do my best in the second and all the next videos that follow to really be as brief as I can and just kind of, not to skip over too much, but just to try to be a little faster with my presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's look at the outline. So we already have the first body paragraph done. So now we're on body paragraph two. Discusses another one of the most important causes and or effects. Okay, so now same thing. I'm just gonna talk about another effect of sleep deprivation, and to not go too long on this video, I already chose ahead of time what I was going to do, and I decided to do traffic accidents. So, sleep deprivation and how it leads to more traffic accidents. People drive sleepy, and when people drive sleepy, they get into obviously more car accidents. So I'm going to start my research. I'll do sleep deprivation and traffic accidents. Again, I've already looked this up, but this is a great article. But before I even get into that, let me uh, let me now start the second body paragraph. So again, starting off with the topic sentence. Always start every paragraph with a topic sentence. So here it says the sentence is what the entire paragraph is all about. Okay, so same thing here. I can even copy the same kind of structure here. So here I put one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that it makes you more vulnerable to cancer. So, oh, whoops. So I'm going to put in this one, so hit the tab key, right, to indent. Another one of the major cause, excuse me, another one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is another one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that is that it leads to more traffic accidents. Okay. By the way, I forgot to save my file. That's very important. Make sure you save your work. I'm just gonna save it to my cause and effect paper folder. Um, and call it cause and effect paper example. I'm going to later on put this on the Moodle course, the module, so you can download this paper and you can have an example of how to do this. So, anyways, another one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that it leads to more traffic accidents. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing I did. This is the way I like to write personally, right? If you say something, next cite a source. I like to do that because it's nice to be able to say, if you don't believe me, here's this source, here's this research that shows that, this is true. So again, uh, this is an interesting article. It says studies have shown that a large proportion of traffic accidents around the world are related to inadequate or disordered sleep. Okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So again, I have the same thing, and here's this paper. This is Marco Tullio de Mello. This is the guy's name. Marco Tullio de Mello, and it's even got one of those accent marks. So I'm going to copy this. And same thing that I did up here, right? Right? I put according to Chen Shi song from Sleep. So here I'll put according to, and I'll copy this guy's name, Marco Tullio de Mello, and put from the International Journal of Preventative Medicine. Okay, so that's the source. International Journal of Preventative Medicine. And we're going to put this, how you know, right? Because if you look up here, Chen Shi Song, notice the sleep. This is the name of the foundation, right? It's in italics. Whenever you see the italics, that's how you know that's the organization or that's the journal, I should say. The source, the main source is what I'm trying to say, right? This guy, Marco Tullio de Mello, the main source is this part right here, the italics. It's from this journal, International Journal of Preventative Medicine. According to Marco Tullio de Mello, writer in, I'll say researcher writing in the International Journal of Preventative Medicine. I totally spelled all this wrong, but that's okay. Spell check. And of course, it's in italics, so make sure you put this in italics. Researcher writing in the International Journal of Preventative Medicine. I'll say noted that, and so what did he say? Large proportion of traffic accidents around the world are related to inadequate or disordered sleep. So I'm going to do the same thing I did here with the Chen Shi article. I put here the quote and then the exact quote. So I'm going to put this in quotes. I'll say, noted that, quote, a large proportion of, right here, a large proportion of traffic accidents around the world are related to inadequate or disordered sleep. Okay, so I'm going to close the quote. Now, same thing, we now know how to cite, right? We have to put the page number. So let me remove this period here. And so what I'm going to do to find the page number is I'm going to download the PDF. And okay, here's the thing that I quote. Studies have shown that a large portion of traffic accidents are related to inadequate or disordered sleep. And this is page 246. Okay, so pay attention to what page number you're citing. So this is page 246. So I'm going to put in parentheses 246, just like I did up here, right? This is page 2. This is page 246. Okay, so same thing as we did before, right? Now we have to cite the source. So, and this is very easy, right? So we're going to go back and just hit the cite. And this starts with the letter D, de Mello. We're going to copy this, or we can just hit the copy button. And then this is going to be our first citation because remember, it's alphabetical order. So MS starting with D. And we're going to put merge formatting so that we have the thing is, I forgot to mention this in the last article, or excuse me, in the last video. If I put here, right, keep source formatting, I mentioned this in the last video, it's gonna keep the same format. You see how the formatting's not right. However, if you hit keep text only, it's not going to put the title of the journal in italics. So the best way to do it is to just merge the formatting. You notice the difference, right? One is merging, the other one is not. So just merge the formatting, and bam, there you go. It's already in it already has the hanging indent. So we have all three sources so far that we've quoted. So go back. Okay, so now we're done. We're done with this I guess intro. So again, I'm gonna try to keep it. Again, I'm keeping this video short. I don't want to make it an hour long like the last one. So notice, right? I made this first paragraph, I made it about 5 sentences. I believe it was five. Let's see, three, four, five. This is about five, 6 sentences. So I'll make this one another 5 sentences. So let's write another three. So we have, according to this guy, researcher writing, uh, I'll even say researcher from, because researcher writing in, it's a little too long. So researcher from the International Journal of Preventive Medicine noticed that a large portion of traffic accidents around the world are related to inadequate or disordered sleep. Um, as a matter of fact, so it says here, recent surveys have linked driver fatigue to 16% to 20% of serious highway accidents in the United Kingdom, Australia, and Brazil. Fatigue as a result of sleep disorders, excessive workload, and lack of physical and mental rest have been shown to be a contributing factors in motor vehicle accidents. Okay, so this is something I definitely want to add. I want to include this. This is really great for my paper. So what I'm going to say is, what are some of the reasons why people are driving tired? Um, and I'll say, and some of the reasons, uh, and I'll even say, so to avoid plagiarism, in this same article, it is mentioned that some of the reasons for why people drive tired include, okay, so they include excessive workload, lack of physical mental rest, lack of physical and mental rest. So I'll say include excessive workload. I'll just say include working too much. I'll say working too many hours because I don't want to say the exact words, right? I just want to put it in my own words. Um, and lack of physical and mental rest. So I'll say, and lack of rest. Okay. So now I said in the same article, it's mentioned that some of the reasons for why people drive tired include working too many hours and lack of rest. And then I can follow up by saying, hence why it is important for people to have a sleep schedule where they, where adults, I should say, get at least 8 hours of rest per night. They say sleep at least 8 hours a day. Um, but it actually, this article here, this might be a great place. If I'm gonna say, if I'm going to say it's important for people to have a sleep schedule, I'm gonna say this. Um, I'm going to remove this part. Hence why it's important for people to have a sleep schedule where they get enough rest. And I'll end the paragraph by saying how much rest people should get. Because I know I mentioned in the topic paragraph that I was going to talk about that it leads to more traffic accidents, but I have already talked about that and why they drive tired. And I'm going to end just by saying this is why it's important to get enough sleep. Um, and I'll say, how many hours of sleep do I need? Okay, so there's going to be a lot of articles here. I'm just going to click on this one by Sleep Foundation. How much sleep do you need? Okay, so here it says adults 18 years and older, 7 hours or more. Teenagers, 8 to 10 hours. So it's going to depend, right, on how old you are. Hence why it's important for people. Let's say it's It is important for people to have a sleep schedule where they get enough rest. Um, and I could say, for example, teens. Oh, you know what? Since I'm getting this information from this article, I'm going to want to cite it. So the writer here is Eric Suni and Dr. Abhinav Singh. So I'm going to say, I'm going to mention both of them. So I'll say, uh, where they get enough rest, and I'll say Eric Suni and Dr. I'm going to add this to the dictionary. Dr. Abhinav. Abhinav? Abhinav. Abhinav. Dr. Abhinav, what's his last name? Singh. And Dr. Abhinav Singh of, this is sleepfoundation.org? Yeah, Sleep Foundation. So I'll say of Sleep Foundation. Note that there's a nice little diagram here. Note that adults should get at least 7 hours of sleep per night. And this is especially important to prevent. This is especially important to prevent traffic accidents and driving sleepy. Okay. So there we go. I think this is great. And the last thing I'm going to need to do is um, cite this source that I just used right now. So remember, cite all your sources, Eric Suni and Abhinav Singh. This is a web page. This is a web page. This has no um, this has no yeah, this has no it's not a journal, it's not a medical journal, it's just a web page. So this is going to be just like the Myra Miller citation that we did in the previous video. So what I'm going to do, and remember this is two authors. Myra Miller was just one. So I'm going to actually go back. So I'm going to do MLA format, works cited online article. So you remember we used this source in the last um in the last in the last video, but I want to see if there's okay, here's it says author and or editor names, last names first. Okay. It doesn't say though. Let me try one ebook page on the website. I mean, it's gonna look like this. Let me try MLA citation. Okay, let me see some other sources really fast. I want to make sure that see all of these only include one author. But what about if there's two authors? Okay. I'm not quite sure. To be honest, none of these citation pages, uh, website known author. Yeah, none of these citations include more than one author, which is very strange. Um, so what I'm gonna do in this one is I'm going to what to do. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go with, let's try this. MLA works cited. Sorry if it might be, this might be very helpful if you have a something that you need to cite that has more than one author. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put MLA works cited to authors. Um, okay, so here it says name, last name of first name of first author, and first and last name of second author. So I'm just gonna use this format. I don't know if it's exactly correct, but if it's not that big of a deal, honestly. This is kind of extra. So the first author that we have here is Eric Suni. So we'll say we'll put this below. Suni Eric, and how did it say? And first and last name. And so this is Dr. Abhinav Singh. So we're gonna just put Abhinav Singh. And okay, the name of this article is called what now? How much sleep do you need? Okay, so we're gonna put this in quotation marks. We're gonna copy the Miller Myra because it's the same exact format, right? It's a web page. So we're gonna say how much sleep do you need? Question mark. Um, and the source is Sleep Foundation. I believe that's the name of the source. Yeah, so Sleep Foundation. Um, so I'm gonna call this we're gonna put this in italics just like it is up here. This is very well held. And now we gotta put the URL. So I'm going to copy and paste the URL. We're gonna put a period there. And where when it was accessed, so access 27th of January 2025. Okay. All right, so far you can see, right, we have our works cited list. It looks pretty good. We already have um four sources. So let's read this back, this last paragraph we just did. So another one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that it leads to more traffic accidents. According to Marco Tullio de Mello, researchers from the International Journal of Preventive Medicine, I'm going to remove this. A large proportion of traffic accidents around the world are related to inadequate or disordered sleep, page 246. And we have that cited here. In this same article, it's mentioned that some of the reasons for why people drive tired include working too many hours and lack of rest. Hence why it's important for people to have a sleep schedule where they get enough rest. I'll say where they get enough sleep. Eric Suni and Dr. Abhinav Singh of Sleep Foundation note that adults should get at least 7 hours of sleep per night, and this is especially important to prevent traffic accidents and driving. I'll say driving tired instead of driving sleepy. And that source is here. How much sleep do you need? Okay, so now hopefully you have an idea of how to write your body paragraphs. I've already written both, and now what I'm going to do is write the third body paragraph. And this is going to be the last kind of major chunk of major chunk of work that you're gonna have to do. Because again, the conclusion is gonna be very easy. I'll probably do the conclusion in the intro in like, I don't know, quick 20 minutes. But last part, right? The refutation. So it says right here, this paragraph comes in two parts, the refutation and the objection. Okay. So the topic sentence. This sentence lays out the refutation. What is the main argument against your position? Okay, so in this paper, I'm talking about the effects of sleep deprivation. What happens to your body when you lose more sleep? Well, I mentioned here, it makes you more vulnerable to cancer. I mentioned here, it leads to more traffic accidents. So, what's an argument against sleep deprivation? Or what's an argument against it? Well, let me say this. And again, I'll hit the tab key to start a new paragraph. I'll say this. When I was in college, me personally, when I was in college, one of the reasons why I didn't get enough sleep was because I felt like I needed that time to study. So like for example, instead of sleeping right at midnight and waking up at 8 in the morning and getting 8 hours of sleep, sometimes I'd go to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning and wake up at 8. And the reason I would go to bed at 2 or 3 instead of 12 o'clock is because I would use that time to study, right? So the argument is very simple, right? I would just say, well, some people might say, some people might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night makes gives you more time to do work or to study. Because that's the argument, right? It's like, oh, well, I have more time in the night to do things if I lose some sleep, right? So it sounds like you're gaining something, but you're really not. Um, so let me now go back to my research, and I'm gonna go to um my CMI library page, and I'm gonna go here to JSTOR, and I'm going to type the effects of sleep deprivation because I found a really good article I can use for this. To study or to sleep, the academic cost of extra studying at the expense of sleep. So I love finding articles on JSTOR because when you find articles on JSTOR, again, same thing, right? If you want to cite it, you can cite using MLA, very easy to find the citation, but also because uh, you can see the article and print it out. So this is a really cool article. Um, so here it says, sorry, I'm just reading through this. Okay, so here's a really good paragraph, right? It says, when students choose to trade sleep for studying, they do so because they believe that the increased studying will help their grades. Okay, so notice, right? Students will say, "Well, I'm losing sleep so that I can study so that I can get better grades." But does losing sleep really help you get better grades, right? That's the important thing. Um to note. Gives you more time. So now I can actually refine my thesis a bit, more my topic sentence, right? So some people might say that losing, and I'll say some students, right? Some students might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night gives them more time to study and get better grades. Okay. And then it says, um, here, on the other hand, sacrificing sleep, even for additional studying, may be an ineffective strategy because average time spent sleeping also contributes to higher achievement. Students whose schedules include more hours of sleep per night tend to have higher grades than their peers who sleep for fewer hours. When students are sleep deprived, they experience even greater fatigue at school the following day, and greater fatigue can make learning more difficult. Furthermore, sleep is a key restorative process during which consolidation of learning takes place. In other words, when you learn things and then you sleep, that the learning process continues when you sleep because it's the more time you get to rest, the better it's going to stick, like in your hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for storing memory, right? When you sleep less, even though you're learning more, less of it is going to stick because you need that time to sleep to let it stick. Now, I really want to include this in my article. I think this would be great to do this. So first thing I'm going to do, I know I'm going to cite this article. So let's just do the citation now. So I'm just going to cite it. So I'm going to copy because we're doing MLA, and it starts with the letter G. So let's go now to our works cited, and we're going to hit this enter key. And since this one starts with D, G, right, in between D and M, so we're going to merge the formatting, and there it is. Now you see how easy it is, right? Like you don't have to you don't have to so I'm just making sure this is formatted correctly. You don't even have to, once you do it the first time, especially with the hanging indent, again, I'll show you really fast in case you missed it in the first video. To do this hanging indent, you simply go to the paragraph and you hit, like, let's say it looked like this or something. You just highlight all of your works cited, and then you go to paragraph, and then you go hanging right here, special, and you hit the OK button. All of it puts the hanging indent. So I have 5 works so far. So this one is by Gillen O'Neill Carey and et al. So meaning there are a lot of researchers. To study or to sleep, the academic cost of studying, extra studying. So here, notice what I did, right? According to Chen Shi Song from Sleep, Chen Shi was also another article that had et al. And this is another article that has et al. So instead of saying et al., you don't need to put et al. In the actual in-text citation because et al. Just means there are a lot more people. So Carey Gillen O'Neill. So we're going to put this here. Carey Gillen O'Neill because this is last name, first name. And so essentially what we're going to do is we're going to put first name, last name, right, when we're writing it in text. So we'll say Carey Gillen O'Neill. And who is this? This is okay, she's a researcher from UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. So we're going to say from the University of California, Los Angeles. So we're going to say from the University of California, Los Angeles. By the way, that's where I went to school, UCLA. So Carey Gillen O'Neill from the University of California, Los Angeles, wrote in, this is the name of the journal. And by the way, you could just look at your works cited, right? The name of the journal is called Child Development. So wrote in, and we're going to put the name of the magazine or the name of the academic journal, wrote in Child Development. So you notice the pattern, right? So Eric Sooney, Dr. Abhinav Singh of, what's the name of the source? Sleep Foundation. Marco Tullio de Mello, researcher from where? International Journal of Preventive Medicine. Wow, this should be in italics. I don't know how I missed that. Where was it? Chen Shi Song from Sleep, right? So in all of these, you're putting who said it and where it's coming from. So Carrie Gillen O'Neill from the University of California, Los Angeles, she wrote in Child Development that, and we're gonna use that same that and sorry, if we go to the outline, right? Notice, right? This sentence lays out the refutation. What is the main argument against the position? I already put it, right? Some students might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night gives them more time to study and get better grades. So the next part is the objection. This is going to tell us why that's wrong. And we're going to add some sentences, right? So this has got to be at least three to four sentences. In 3 to 4 sentences, you have to explain why this argument is wrong. So some students might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night gives them more time to study and get better grades. So Carrie Gillen O'Neill from the University of so now I'm going to say why it's wrong. Wrote in Child Development that, and here it says students whose schedules include more hours of sleep tend to have higher grades. But this is the main key right here. Average time spent sleeping also contributes to higher achievement. So the more time students spend sleeping, the better they do in school. So notice what I did. I could either quote her directly. I could either say, quote, average time spent sleeping. So I could do this. I could either quote, also contributes to higher achievement. And actually, I'll be honest with you. This is not my favorite sentence. I like this one better. Students whose schedules include more hours of sleep per night tend to have higher grades than their peers who sleep for fewer hours. I really like this sentence. So I'm actually going to use this sentence. I'll say students who spend where is it? Oh, sorry. Students whose schedules include more hours of sleep. Students whose schedules include more hours of sleep per night tend to have higher grades than their peers who sleep for fewer hours. Okay. So remember, when you quote directly, make sure you have the quotes, and don't forget we got to put the page number. So this is page 134, right? So if you get a source, right, from an academic journal, make sure you put the page number. So we're going to put page number 134, period. Okay, so just like we did up here, just like we did up here. Okay, so awesome. So some students might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night gives them more time to study and get better grades. That's the argument. But Carrie Gillen O'Neill, I'll even say but Carrie Gillen O'Neill from the University of California, Los Angeles wrote in Child Development that, quote, students whose schedules include more hours of sleep per night tend to have higher grades than their peers who sleep for fewer hours. Okay, so now I might want to also include some other stuff that they say here. So it says, sacrificing sleep, even for additional studying, may be ineffective because average time spent sleeping also contributes to higher achievement. So I can say that. As a matter of fact, there is a correlation I don't want to say correlation. I'm gonna keep it simple. There is a link between sleeping more hours and achieving higher uh and achieving higher and I'll just say doing better in school. As a matter of fact, I'll say according to the same study, because it's the same study, according to the same study, there is a link between sleeping more hours and doing better in school. Okay, um, so I've given my objection, one sentence, right? So notice the format. Argument against the position, I already gave it. The objection, why the refutation is wrong, and this is the objection. Carrie Gillen O'Neill says students whose schedules include more hours of sleep tend to have higher grades. So students say, oh, well, I should lose more sleep to get better grades. But in reality, those who lose more sleep or those who sleep more get better grades anyways. So it really doesn't matter. The argument is bad either way. So then the last part of the paragraph is just add more sentences to explain your objection. And that's what I'm doing here. As a matter of fact, according to the same study, there is a link between sleeping more hours and doing better in school. So I'll add maybe one more sentence. I'll say, so it's really not worth losing more sleep when oh, you know what? You know what? Before I end the paragraph, let me include this information. Sleep is a key restorative process during which consolidation of learning takes place. In other words, when you sleep, right, all the things that you learn, they stick more because, and I'll even put that. And to top it off, sleep is an important part of learning because when you sleep, uh, consolidation of learning, everything that you learn is being consolidated in your brain. So I'll end this paragraph by saying it's remember that the main idea of this paragraph is you're trying to argue against this. Losing a little bit of sleep at night gives you more time to study and get better grades. So it's really not worth losing extra sleep to study, not worth losing the extra sleep to study. Okay. So let's look at this one more time. Just one more time. Refutation. This sentence lays out the refutation. What is the main argument against your position? Here it is. Some students might say that losing a little bit of sleep at night gives them more time to study and get better grades. So losing a little bit of sleep is okay. It's okay. It's good. The objection. This sentence states why the refutation is wrong. But here's why it's wrong. Kari Gillen O'Neill from the University of California, Los Angeles wrote in Child Development that, quote, students whose schedules include more hours of sleep per night tend to have higher grades than their peers who sleep for fewer hours. So even if you do lose sleep, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, right? It's worse for you. And then, so we got the refutation, the objection, and then the last part. More sentences to explain your objection in detail. And that's here. As a matter of fact, according to the same study, so 2 or 3 sentences explaining it in detail, there is a link between sleeping more hours and doing better in school. And to top it off, sleep is an important part of learning because when you sleep, everything that you learn is being consolidated in your brain. And so I'll end my paragraph. So it's really not worth losing the extra sleep to study. All right, so there we go. I have now to summarize, right, before I end this video, body paragraph 1, discuss the most important cause and or effects. One of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that it makes you more vulnerable to cancer. This whole entire paragraph is about how losing sleep could lead to cancer. Um, another next body paragraph, another one of the most important causes or effects, and I chose to write about more traffic accidents. So another one of the major effects of sleep deprivation is that it leads to more traffic accidents, and this whole paragraph is about how driving tired could lead you to have an accident and why it's important to get enough sleep. And then the last paragraph here, refutation. What is the main argument against your position? It's okay to lose sleep to make more time to study. And the rest of the paragraph discusses why that's wrong. And now I'm done with the main part of my with my paper. Notice I already have 2 pages, 3 including the works cited page, and I have a very clean looking works cited. Look, I already cited 5 sources. I'm probably going to have one more, which we'll talk about in the last video. So I'm going to end this here because it's already been going on for about 45 minutes or so. So in the last video I'm going to do, in the next one, we're just going to go over the conclusion and the introduction. And I'm going to do both of those together. Conclusion's very easy. Introduction is also very easy. It's probably going to be a short video. And that's basically going to be it. I'll see you in the next one.